This is the Big Deal Podcast, brought to you and powered by New Covenant Baptist Church in Albertville, Alabama. And on this podcast, we're asking the question, what's the big deal about all things Bible, theology, and culture? I'm Justin.
I'm Brad.
Welcome to the Big Deal. So there's been a break. We've
Yes.
had a whole month long break from the pod, and we took Christmas.
We had snow days.
We had snow yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
I had a layer on our back porch.
I think it was so cold. Sometimes when it gets so cold and you have a high humidity, the cold will squeeze the moisture out of the air, and it looks like snows.
Yeah. It was snowing. There was flurries and stuff. Yeah, I spent a couple weeks in the hospital. That's always super fun.
Yeah, we decided not to do a podcast while you were in the hospital.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
I'm fine. It was my son. And he's doing okay. But we're back now, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't wait.
I woke up this morning excited to come back to work and do podcasts. And read the Bible and prepare to teach the Bible and everything. I'm so excited.
I actually don't start talking about it because I have a list and it gives me anxiety.
Oh, of things you need to do?
I got to get done.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you get anxiety from...
I do. I'm a ducker of responsibility till deadlines sometimes.
Oh, a procrastinator.
If somebody... Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm a procrastinator as much as like sometimes stuff just piles up. And when I see a monster list, I start to shut down.
I love lists.
Oh my goodness. I
live off lists. Like if you go into the notes app on my phone, it's just thousands of lists that I've had over the years. And I divide and conquer.
I think I would die.
It's just it. Well, I think that I am the same way as you. But lists have become my tool for dealing with those things.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah,
for you.
I divide it up, and I'm able to start with a small task.
My brain thinks far ahead, and so what happens is when I see a list, I'm like, okay, I've got to call the veterans place because they're messed up the GI Bill for Ethan, which I gave to him so generously as his father, and it's messed up. But like when I start to call that, I think, man, if we do this marriage retreat, I need to be on the phone doing this marriage retreat. So like I'm having anxiety because I'm thinking about the other thing I'm supposed to be doing while I'm doing the other thing I'm supposed to be doing. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, and after that I gotta do this other thing.
You just gotta do one thing at a time.
I know, but I can't. That's impossible.
It is possible. It's actually the only way you can do anything.
Oh, I don't know,
one thing at a time.
You can just curl up in the fetal position, do nothing. Just let your life go away.
People will stop asking to do stuff eventually.
I have a funeral Thursday, too.
Oh,
I can't think about all that stuff, man. Anyway.
Well, I got a question for you.
Okay, let's do it. See, my anxiety level is so far out the roof right now. Tell me something. Ask me a question. Take my mind off of it.
My anxiety level is wildly not high right now.
Good job.
It should be crazy.
But the weird thing about, can talk about anxiety. The weird thing about anxiety is I have no real control over it. Like I can tell myself, you're being stupid. And I can lay it out. This is how come you're being stupid. And it doesn't even have to be a bad list. Like one of those tasks could literally take 5 minutes. Literally 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't want to hang that picture.
Yeah.
I can't get to it. And then you hang the picture like, why did I stress about that? It makes no sense.
Would you say you're a people-oriented person or a task-oriented person?
People.
That's it.
Dude,
yeah.
I can't. A task, also, I'm kind of a turd.
Yeah. You're not a turd.
Don't tell anybody this.
You think
this
that.
Is just
you're really
us.
not, though.
I can't stand being told what to do.
I knew that.
I can't stand
I knew that.
And I feel like lists are trying to be my boss.
Lists are trying
you can't tell me what to do, even though I wrote it down.
Yeah, you are people. You're not a task-oriented person. I'm a task-oriented person. I like it,
dude.
I like people too. I'm not like anti-people or nothing, but like I like the to-do list.
I do.
You know?
I hate a list because it's not Christ-like. Jesus never made a list, man, except that one time he wrote in the dirt. But otherwise, I get the feeling when I'm reading the New Testament, Jesus just walking around, man.
Well,
he's
like,
a people-oriented
person.
Yeah,
that's
it.
a personality type.
What's going on? Oh, man, her son died. Let's heal him. Oh, who touched my robe? Oh, yeah. It's just like He just hanging out, just running into people.
Well, I guess I'm not a Christ-like
Yeah,
person.
see, you need to get more like Jesus. No, man, I'm sure he had a plan.
Yeah.
That was a plan from the foundation of the world.
That's
The
right.
dude had a list. It was very important.
Yeah.
I'm on the other
It's just
end.
not your personality.
I can't do it,
It's okay.
dude. Okay.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
I don't hold it against you at all.
I just stink at life. But I'm halfway done.
You're
over halfway there.
Over halfway
I'm
done.
over halfway there.
Yeah.
Living on a prayer.
Yeah.
As
I don't
Bon
know.
Jovi.
There might be things that are developed that make you live longer than 100 generally.
I don't know if I want to.
You turned 50. Did you turn 50
I
since the
did.
last podcast? No.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you turned 50 before the last podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 50 now, so I don't know that I want to be 100, and I'm not saying that like flippantly.
Yeah.
Like if I could be like Moses climbing up mountains at 100, I'm there. But from my observation, 100 looks miserable.
It depends.
Yeah.
There's this little old lady that is still like follows me and Stefan, and she was from this church in Texas. We knew her. She was about to be 90.
Yeah.
And she every day was out in her garden on her hands and knees.
I can do
in
that.
the dirt.
I can do that,
like
100.
garden, mowed her lawn, and she turned 90 when we were there, and she's still getting after it.
Well,
Miss Esther Brinkley, she gets after it.
I knew one guy like that. I went to he took me to lunch in Gadsden. He was 104 and was still driving, and I wasn't scared to ride with him.
That's incredible.
And he worked. This is crazy, man.
Yeah.
He worked at Goodyear back in the olden days, right?
Yeah.
So he got 20 years, and he retired at like 55 because he had a
Whoa.
pension. Dude, Goodyear had to pay him a pension for 50 years.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how,
why pensions are gone.
Yeah, that's why they're gone.
Yeah.
So we were at this restaurant. It was a pretty nice restaurant he
Yeah.
took me to. And I tried to pay. He's like, I'm paying. He's like, look, Goodyear's still sending me a check. I'm getting my Social Security. And every time they cut the check, they think, when is this guy going to die?
That's awesome, man.
They paid him for 50 years.
Dude,
he
that's
worked there
nuts.
for 20. They paid him for 70.
That's crazy. Pensions were a bad deal for the company. Great deal for people, though.
Yeah, they didn't realize people were going to live so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. How cool.
How
so
cool.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
All right. What is your New Year resolution?
I don't have one.
Or multiple? You have to make one right now.
Oh,
then.
I have to?
Right now.
I am going to stay fit.
That don't count.
Gosh, dog.
I need specifics.
I am going to make me a list every day to heighten my anxiety.
You're going to conquer at least one list.
Oh, man. Yep. I don't know. What should I do? You tell me.
Now,
What
I
do
ask
need-
you the question. You have to come up with it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're already doing everything right. You know? It's just like
I have nothing to resolve to do. I'm just
I don't
I'm
know.
just killing it.
I'm just trying to live my
100%, man.
best life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I want to get better at paperwork.
Yeah. Like Army paperwork, or because
I'm
church
so-
doesn't really have paperwork.
Yeah, Army.
We don't do
Well,
paperwork around
besides like my outlines and stuff, but
here. Oh yeah.
but I don't mind that. Like if you said, "Oh, you've got to go out," could you outline a lesson plan for me? I'd be like, "Yes,
I'd love to.
I'd love to do that." But if you're like, "Hey, you got to go in the Army and make this OCMB," it's like a thing that you can get promoted. Blah blah blah. It's a
Army
bunch
stuff is so. We have a lot of Army guys who listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Y'all are crazy.
I can't
like,
stand
every
it.
time you guys start talking, it's like you need to go down there with that LDF and
I know.
and take the PMK down to
Dude,
the ROM.
I don't speak the language still.
Yeah.
It's Army is a language, and I'm like, I literally told one of my commanders the other day. I said, "Sir, I'm very good with people and being a chaplain, but I'm bad at Army. Like I don't know what you're talking about right now. I don't know what this
can't
means,
speak
and
Army.
I'm trying so hard to get there, but like every time I almost get there, somebody says something like." Hey, did you not do your OERs? And I'm like, what? Why would I do that? I don't know what that is.
OER.
Yeah, it's like an officer review thing every year. You got to be like, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
So
it's
my
okay.
commander has to review me every year to see if I did a good job. But you write it.
Oh, that's
So
weird.
I
And they
write
sign
it,
off on
and
it.
he signs it. Like he can look at it and be like, "Oh, I want to add more stuff." But they, in practice, they're just like,
That's like
for the most part.
like the IRS and taxes. Like every
Yeah.
year we do our taxes and we like send it off to like. I think I did this right. I think
Yeah.
this is how much I owe the U.S. government, and they look at it and they're like, "Yes, you did owe us that much," or "No, you didn't. Do it again."
Yeah, it's
like,
so dumb.
Like, just tell me how I
watched
did, man.
this.
Yeah.
I watched this German guy who would. immigrated to the United States talking about income tax here. And he was like, so you guys don't know how much I owe and I need to tell you? And they're like, yes. And he's like, well, what if I just make something up? And they're like, well, we'll know. And he's like, so you know how much I owe you? And they're like, well, no. They're like, well, then how do you know? It was like this back and forth.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Elon Musk said he's going to make an app for taxes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's part of the Doge, you know that?
No.
Donald Trump put him in. They made this like para government organization to work on.
Hey, it's today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's today inauguration day?
I think it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to work on like government efficiency and like what ways they can make the government more efficient. And that was one of the things he was talking about, was making an app to do your taxes on.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think you could clean house in the government like he did on Twitter.
Yeah.
And nothing would change.
Oh, that's what they're trying. They're trying to like,
except for the fact there'd be millions of people unemployed.
well, what it was like they came up with this number. I can't remember where I saw this. But it's basically it's cheaper for the U.S. government to fire this huge swath of people and pay them for 2 years than to continue their employment. It's cheaper because they not do nothing.
I know.
They don't do anything, apparently.
Yeah, there's so much weirdness in the government.
Yeah. There's all these like...
It's not even a joke. I'm not even joking. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's pretty wild. I don't know. I hope they make an app. That would be nice.
Yeah. So what's your New Year's resolution?
Oh, I don't have one.
You stink, man. You're the worst.
I don't have one. I don't do that.
I'm going to read the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
live a disciplined life already.
I really do, though.
Yeah, we actually do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not like slobs out there like you're like, man, I'm finally gonna get in shape or something, do something.
I'm working out 4 days a week, man.
Yeah.
And that's a lot at my age because I got to have them rest days.
Yeah.
You can do a lot, but you just can't do it as often when you get 50.
I actually do have it's not a resolution. I have a goal for the year.
What?
I want this year to I want to make more music. I've been a musician for years, long time.
Oh, that's gonna be my resolution.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get better at the guitar.
You're gonna get better at guitar.
I'm working on that.
I just want to make more music, do more stuff with this. For years, music was it was a job. It was a lot of work. It was just work to me.
And then you came here and we made your life happy.
You did,
and you can do music again.
That's exactly right.
It's
it's so much fun now. And it gives me energy and joy. So
it's so fun.
It is. Yeah.
I love it, and I do it so badly.
Yeah.
I was at lunch with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the great gifts God gives people, and we talked about Trevor Giver's shout out how he's so good.
Yep.
2 Sundays ago, I couldn't even. Trevor hear this and it hurt his feelings. I barely could sing because I was watching him play the guitar, going, "How is he doing?
He's
that?
so talented.
He's so good, man.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have to try hardly. I mean, he's got a lot of work in it, but
he practices all the time.
So we were talking about how God throws talents out there. It's like LeBron James, blah, blah, blah. And it's like when he made me, he said, "I'm gonna make a dude that's like pretty average at everything he tries."
50%.
He's a 50%er, man, maybe 51, 52. So if I try stuff, I find myself, okay, I'm pretty average at this.
Yeah.
And then God said, but here's his curse. He will recognize greatness and realize we will never attain it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, you have two curses. That's a curse, but you went 50% on everything.
Yeah.
But you got your 5% on lists.
Oh,
yeah, he gave you that.
No.
But he gave you a high one on people. You're good with people.
I'm good with people.
You are.
I love people. Genuinely love them.
You're good with people, man.
And I'm often naive about them.
Yeah,
I love them so much. Yeah.
So we're gonna make music.
Let's do it, man. I could probably write some songs, lyrics.
I love writing songs. I never share. I write songs for me.
Stop being such a weenie.
I do. Write. I'll get some. It helps me kind of process things sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I'll write it, and then I'll never look at it again.
It's too embarrassing.
I know. I'm not embarrassed by them or nothing.
No?
I just it's I'm not interested in it anymore. I wrote it.
I used to write
and
poems,
I move on.
And I lost them all.
Yeah.
On purpose, probably. But if you write a poem and somebody's like, "Let me read that," you're like, "No." this is the stupidest thing. Like, this is so.
No, I would play them for people. I just like, it's not like a, I'm not like.
We're going to write some bluesy Southern rock revival songs.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I got this idea for a song. It's called You Can't Fall Off the Floor. I feel like that would be a great song.
That sounds cool.
That's a great song.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
That's an old proverb. You can't fall off the floor. That's good, man. I can't.
Let's talk about the Bible.
Oh, let's do it.
We always do this. Our banter is like
Stupid.
It's
yeah,
dumb.
we're dummies.
Yeah,
I
we're
can't
just
believe it. Thank you for listening, you people. We love you.
All right. So we have been on a journey, a slow journey.
A journey.
Through Genesis, and we're about halfway through Exodus right now. And we camped out at the Ten Commandments for a minute because it's important. The Decalogue, right?
Yeah.
It's super important.
I love it when we say stuff like Decalogue.
Yeah, you like that? That means
Feels like
10 log.
we're so smart.
10 logs.
I like calling them
Yeah.
the Tender Commandments better.
Tender
But
Commandments?
then we have an app called Tinder, and it kind of ruined it. But I'm talking about Tinder, like to the God was being
I
tender.
don't have that app.
I don't either.
Okay.
No. I
It's-
have never been on a dating app in my life.
Never had to, man.
Never. They didn't have them.
They didn't either. Yeah. No, you know, they actually they didn't have apps. They had websites when I was. There was, what was that? They had when I was, but it wasn't for like young people. It was for like old people.
Yeah.
You know, it was like when I was in college.
Did we talk about this?
Christian Farmers Only.
Yeah.
Do you remember Farmers Only?
Yeah, they still have it, I think.
Is it still out there?
I see an advertisement. But when I was in school, the internet was invented. Like, that's not a joke. I was in college.
Back in my day.
They invented the internet. And I was sitting in a study hall room one day in the language arts building. And this dude came across. It was my friend. And he was like, hey, man, there is a website where you can order a wife from Russia. And I was like, what? I was like, you are lying. He was like, I'm dead serious. So we go over there, and it takes, like, by the way, young people, about 7 years to download a single page. And it was 55 pictures of not scantily clad, but just normal women trying to get out of Russia and Ukraine in 1992.
As one does.
And they would come here and be your wife.
That's wild.
And it was for real.
Did you order one?
I did not. As you know, I ordered mine from Baton Rouge.
Yeah, you did. Shout out to Amy Williams.
Yeah, she's still with me 21 years later.
If you're wondering what we're drinking after this incredible thing, this is Brad's French press.
Yes.
It's delicious. You did a great
I
job,
got it
man.
for Christmas.
This is really good.
It was sort of like making a Christmas list is as abhorrent to me as making a New Year's resolution. And I just stuck. Oh no! I just stuck a thing on there. It was French press. I thought nobody will buy this, but somebody bought it for
this
me.
is the French press?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
See, this is a little plunger right
Yeah,
there. But anyway, it makes really delicious coffee. And at first, I was like, whatever. And now I'm drinking coffee pinky out, and I'm thinking about pour overs and cold coffees, and my whole life has changed.
connoisseur.
But maybe the Bible.
Yeah, the Bible. Back to the
Yeah.
So we're in the Ten Commandments, and so Moses has brought the people of Israel out of Egypt. They're at at Mount Sinai, and they've heard this covenant with God, and they have gladly accepted. They said, "We will do everything that you have said." Right?
Liar!
Yeah, and they are. They're a bunch of liars. They're fools.
Yeah.
They don't know it though. They're optimistic right
They're
now.
very optimistic.
And they hear this law, and we've been through, I think, 7 of them. I
Yeah.
think we have like 3 left. We did adultery. We did that, and that was our last.
Wait, we
one.
didn't do adultery. We talked about
Yeah,
it.
we didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's an important distinction.
behave.
Yeah. And so we're at the verse 15, chapter Exodus 20, verse 15, the 7th, 7, 8, 9, no, the 8th commandment. Do not steal.
Don't steal.
What do you do about that?
Don't steal stuff.
Just don't take things?
Yeah, people. I talk about this all the time, man. But don't steal is the one that helped me understand God's law.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because my friend rebuked me. So, and I didn't steal anything. I was at Kmart, and this is back in the olden days again, and I was checking out, and I was kind of poor, so I counted up, what this stuff costs, and when they charged me, it seemed like not enough. Mm-hmm. And I walked out, and I was like, looking at my receipt, looking at stuff in my bag, and I had gotten an extension cord, and they had overlooked it in my, as they were checking me out. They put it through, but it didn't scan or whatever. So I thought, I need to go back in there and tell them they didn't do this. So I go back inside, and my buddy had already gone through the line. He's waiting for me in the car. And I go back in there. I'm like, hey, you forgot to charge me for the extension cord. And they're like, don't worry about it. I'm like, no, you need to charge me for the extension cord. You're just a cashier. You can't do this. You can't make decisions like that. So they scan it, and I pay for this extension cord. I'm feeling pretty proud of myself for not being a thief because I could have easily stolen it. And I go get in the car. And my buddy's like, what took you so long? And very smugly, I said, well, they didn't charge me for my extension cord. So I had to go back in there and convince them to charge me so I wouldn't steal it. And my buddy looked at me and he goes, I don't know what you're so proud about. That's just what you're supposed to do. And it hurt my feelings. But I got to thinking about it. And I thought, you know what? That's how we are with the law. We like brag about not stealing things and think we're good people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I talk about that all the time in the pulpit. It's like, if you go out of town and come back and I'll be like, hey, I noticed you left your shed unlocked, but I didn't steal any of your stuff.
Didn't take a single thing.
Didn't take nothing. You'd be like, oh, man, what a good guy you are. If you keep talking like that, you're a creep.
You're weird.
You're a weirdo.
Man. Yeah.
So, like, the law is not made to make you righteous.
Yeah.
It cannot. Like, bragging about not stealing is stupid.
It's a low bar.
Low bar.
Yeah.
We're tripping over a low bar, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we steal.
Yeah.
We do it.
You steal.
You try to steal God's glory.
Oh.
You do it.
Yeah.
That's the worst thievery.
That's the most common, probably.
Most common thievery is to steal God's glory.
It's very related to pride.
Yes.
That this life is about me.
Mm-hmm.
This life is about what I'm doing, what I got going on. That we sang a song yesterday. I love this song so much. It's may Christ be all and I be nothing.
Yeah.
It hits you. It slaps you in the face.
Good. Yeah.
It slaps you in the face because at first you're like, wait a second, nothing? Really nothing? But when, it's not like that you're worthless, but the idea is that your life is not about you.
Yeah, sometimes little truths like that, like smack you in the face, like, don't steal. You can't brag about not stealing. It's dumb.
Yep.
May Christ be on, I be nothing. Hurts your pride a little bit.
It's a shot straight at your pride.
I remember one time a professor told me, he was talking, I don't even know, it might have been a throwaway line, but he said, God loves Jesus more than he ever will love you. And it hurt my feelings.
It's shocking.
But it's absolutely, has to be true. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, man, if God loves anything more than God, he's an idolater.
Yeah.
He said, that's why you've got to be covered with Christ.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So you got to think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a super easy way to push those things out to extremes and be like, well, God don't love you or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm not nothing. I'm a child of God. Those things are true. But sometimes you need these other little gut punch truths to kind of balance you.
Your life isn't about you. And like what the things that like you are so stressed about and like consume your mind and stuff, they are important and things, to think about and deal with and stuff. But at the end of the day, your life is about God.
It is.
Right. It's about worshiping him and loving him and making him known.
Being glad he cares.
Yeah, and he does. So there's the thievery of glory, stealing God's glory is important. And that's you talk about glory. We've talked about this a little bit. I think that's always a good one to like flesh out because people, it just sounds like a churchy word.
It sounds like bright lights or like,
what is glory?
Yeah, what's a glory?
Yeah. In Hebrew, you
thinking about that.
The Hebrew word
French
is
press
kavod.
Kavod. Yeah. Heavy.
It's heaviness. It's like weight. It's a word about substance, and like you would call someone who is big, you call them heavy, kavod. Like that deal with Eli, he became kavod.
He became kavod in a bad way because he was stealing from God.
Yeah. He was saying he was fat.
He wanted to steal God's glory,
That's right.
And in so doing, he became heavy.
Yeah.
And he died because of it.
And so when you talk about God's glory, it's about his heaviness, which is a way to talk about his substance and his importance. Like you can't neglect how
we say
big
it though.
he is.
We kind of have a slang for it. And it has nothing to do with Hebrew, but
Yeah.
it kind of conveys it. Like if you say, man, that's a heavy truth. Mm-hmm. Like it weighs you down.
Weighty.
It is weighty. Like there's a weight to it.
That does in English. It works in English too.
Yeah.
There's some things are like just so, I would say like something wild happens, like take the wildfires, that are happening in California so right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy stuff.
Crazy.
And the news of them is weighty. It's heavy. It's like important. You can't really like just brush it off. And
No.
you see it happen like on television, like all the NFL games this past weekend with the playoffs and stuff. Every one of them, they begin the game with like some sort of moment of silence about those wildfires and people have died and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because they know that it would be insensitive and wrong to neglect it.
Yeah.
It's
almost like clout. Like when you steal God's glory, you sort of steal his clout.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I did this.
Yeah.
When he's done everything.
Yeah. And so to glorify someone is to appreciate the clout.
Is let them keep their weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to like notice it, appreciate it, and like even say something about it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like similar thing happens like in your relationships and your marriage and things like that. So if you say you love your wife or you love your husband,
Yeah.
and you're so appreciative of all the things they do, but you never say it.
Yeah. And also
That can cause some problems.
Yeah.
And it's worth saying it and like giving them.
Well, it talks about in the Bible glorifying God.
Yeah.
Right. So how people are like, how do you add to his weight, or how do you add to his glory? You say, well, he did all these things for me.
Yeah.
And so you're adding to his weight.
Yeah.
You're adding to his glory.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I did all this for myself,
Yeah.
like you could steal it. But he will be magnified when you add to his clout. You will be squashed if you try to steal it.
You will be squished. Yeah.
Yep.
Tim Keller had a really neat thing he said once. I always thought it was very helpful, that God's glory, he talks about the heaviness and the weight and all this kind of stuff, in that we're supposed to quake before his glory. Like you would if you threw like a big stone into a pond and like it creates this wake in like an earthquake or something and like moves everything out around it. And it's like, that's how we're supposed to be with God's glory. We're supposed to move because of it, and it's supposed to like generate us and like to do things. And I always thought that was really helpful.
I always think of God's glory like when I was a kid and I used to lay on my back and look at the stars and like feel like I was going to float off or something and get squished by it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's how God's glory is. You look at it and it's like, what is this? Like it's beyond you.
And so stealing his glory is when you when you think of your life through the lens of all this is about me and it's not about him. This is for me. It's for my pleasure.
I did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for my own greatness. I'm responsible for every success I've ever had.
Oh, that's
and
the
someone
worst.
else is responsible for every failure I've ever had.
If you and when you start thinking about that, you neglect the fact that even the fact that you can think is a gift from God.
Yeah.
There is nothing you have received that you have not been given.
Everything's a gift. That's right.
Yeah.
Every skill you have, every intelligence you
so
have.
don't steal.
Yep. It's all a gift from God. Yeah. And so stealing this is kind of in that same way. The law is more than what is just written, you know, that it's not, in the way that Jesus ends up talking about this with murder and adultery in Matthew 5 and 6. It's like, the law was meant to talk about more like an ideal that's bigger than just like what's in the sentence.
Yes.
Murder is also, talking ill about your brother or sister, calling them a fool, hating. Adultery is more than just like sleeping with a woman that's not your wife.
Yeah.
The same way, stealing, there's other things you can steal other than like possessions.
Somebody's plow or whatever you worried about in 2000 BC or 3000.
For sure.
It was. Yeah.
For sure.
There wasn't a whole bunch of stuff to steal anyways.
Yeah, that's right. And there's also like, stealing things from people. It's worth asking sometimes, like, well, why is it wrong to take things? And initially you might just say, well, it's theirs, like that's why. But why is it a sin against God when you take things from other people? Because it is.
Yeah.
It's because God gave them those things.
Yeah.
Like those are things that God gave them, and you just took them. So you took it from God.
Yeah.
Right? If I gave you this French press coffee thing and Zoe stole it from you, I would be ticked off. You'd be ticked off, but I'd be ticked off too. I gave that to him.
Yeah.
And that's the way God is.
not yours.
It's not yours, man.
I know.
Zoe, don't steal this. She wouldn't do that. I don't think she drinks coffee.
And that's why God hates adultery and all that other stuff.
That's right.
I gave him to her, her to him. And
Yeah.
that's my daughter. That's my son.
That's right. Yeah.
He takes stuff. God takes sin personally.
He does. Every one of them.
Every
when
single
you
one
sin
of them.
against someone, you sin against God.
Against God. He hates it.
Oh,
He's like, I am up here
Scary.
working so hard to help everybody, and y'all just down there ruining everything.
sin is destructive. No
Yeah.
doubt. So that's do not steal. You have any other thoughts on not stealing?
Yeah, just don't.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do that thing. And then, so the next one, verse 16, is do not give false testimony against your neighbor. And you might think of that. You might, in your mind, like, or if you've been familiar with the Bible for a long time, you might have like a different translation in your head, maybe like the old King James version, which is, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, right?
Yeah.
ESV goes, you shall not
New
bear
American
false witness.
Standard says false witness.
Yeah, false witness. And so the CSB says give false testimony against your neighbor. And that's an interesting one because it used to be back in the day when I was like in youth group and, just getting introduced to the Bible, they would say, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And they would say, don't lie to people. That's what that means. Don't lie to people.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that.
It doesn't mean that, which is interesting.
It is under the umbrella.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean don't lie.
Yeah.
It's more like don't make an accusation against your neighbor that's untrue,
That's right.
which includes lying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean necessarily all lying is forbidden.
So lying is this large umbrella.
Yeah.
And bearing false witness, which is what this commandment is, a segment of what that could be.
Yes.
But it's not lying. Lying is not the sin because not all lies are sin.
You just blew some people's minds.
I know it.
And I've tried to help people with this so much. If your wife asks if this makes her look fat, you can say no and God will be pleased.
Yeah, it's not all lies.
Because it doesn't.
Yeah. So
no, it's like hiding the spies.
yeah,
Well, she's
Rahab,
supposed to say,
yep.
oh, yeah, they're here under this stack of hay I've got on my roof.
That's right.
That would have been wicked.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no, they were here. They left.
Yeah.
She lied to save their lives.
Yeah. The sin here is basically slander.
Slander.
It's slander. It's telling lies about someone for their ruin. Right,
Yes.
to bear false testimony against your neighbor, if they're in the case of an accusation, right, that they are a thief or a murderer or something, you've accused them falsely, or that you are jumping on a bandwagon of accusation against them.
Yes.
Which is a super big deal in the ancient world, man,
And the modern world.
It's in the modern world
Cancel
too.
culture is bearing false witness.
We think of a lot of times though this of like video evidence now.
Yeah.
Like there's cameras everywhere doing everything. And so I think like witness is a little bit less people believe witnesses less now than they used to. It used to be that's the only thing you had.
That was it.
And so now everyone's like, well, where's the video evidence? And it's always video evidence.
And time has shown us that witnessing witnesses are not always reliable.
Oh, very unreliable.
And so, like, the fact that the Bible said you need 2 or 3. You need 2 or 3 witnesses.
Yep.
If you only got one, let it go, man.
Yep.
It's so bearing witness, they knew it was sketch.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, if you bear false witness against your neighbor, you can destroy them.
Yep.
They can be killed.
Yep.
And so false witness is not just, oh, I like what you've done with the kitchen and you don't really like it. That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe if you have to make some decisions about how truthful you want to be on that sort of thing. But like if you're like, Justin is an idiot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's false witness.
Yeah.
You are not an idiot.
I'm not?
No.
Yes.
No. When you talk about people, gossip falls under false witness.
Gossip and slander are weird, close things, right?
Yes.
And so the difference, sometimes like people talk about gossip has a range of meaning in English that is unhelpful because people they think any talking about someone is not, or talking about people behind their back is not always bad. Well, if it's true, right? What if it's true? They like justify it. And so it's got this weird, sometimes it's lies, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's unverified information.
You shouldn't be talking about people.
That's the whole point. Is like you shouldn't be.
In the King James, it talks about, I think it's in Ephesians or something. It talks about women, and sometimes it calls them busybodies. But the King James
in
says,
Timothy, 2 Timothy.
Says talebearers.
Oh, yeah.
Talebearers.
Yeah.
So somebody who cannot wait to go tell what they've heard about something somebody did, even if it's true, still gossip.
Yep.
It's none of your business.
It's none of your business. And that's actually the root of this sin. Like, why is it sin? Because this is a law about responsibility, right? And you want to ask about, like, why is some lies okay and why are some lies not okay in this? Because it's about who you're responsible to the truth to, you know? And so in the case of like Rahab, was Rahab responsible to whoever's like questioning her about the spies?
Yeah.
No, they are they're enemies of God. She didn't owe them the truth, right? Or do you owe your spouse the truth?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
The Egyptian midwives lied to Pharaoh. They're like, oh, by the time we get there, they already had the babies because they're vigorous.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to kill the firstborn. They didn't want to kill the male children.
Yeah, they don't owe these murdering crazy people the truth.
No.
Like, and the same goes for what we were just talking about with gossip and slanders. Like, what are you responsible for? You're not responsible for what they got going on.
Also, you don't know.
You don't. Oh, yeah.
You don't know.
Like people get off on stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a dangerous. Oh, it's so dangerous.
We do it all the time. Like, it happens a lot. Like I think about these high-profile trials where people make a decision about who's innocent and who's guilty.
Oh, man.
And they neglect the fact that there are folks spending it both ways.
Oh, man, that what was it? Who was it? Blake Lively?
Oh, yeah.
That news thing that just
everybody
happened?
made her sound like a monster.
She was a monster in the news last year or this past summer, and then it came out like this guy was like on a mission to paying.
He did the thing.
Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah.
Like we I don't even know now because he's countersuing for like $50 gajillion.
Yeah.
But
they had these text messages and
the
stuff.
The report was that he was paying people to dig dirt and make her look bad.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
That her accusation of not sexual assault, but like
it was
harassment.
Yeah,
harassment. He paid to make her look bad as a bad witness.
Ooh. It's hard to know the truth. So, but
last year everybody just believed it, and there was an organized propaganda machine to make her look bad.
Yeah,
can you imagine?
Yeah, there's a company involved. Marketing
but
company.
Now you got to ask, well, is she doing that now? Is it a counter propaganda thing, or was? I don't know, man. But am I responsible?
Yeah.
No.
The last church I was at, we had this like. Right, it was a revitalization there for a while, and things were like really cool for a good bit of it. And but one of the things that was tough was that there was a group of folks in that church, man, that just addicted to gossip, addicted to it.
Yeah,
golly, it was bad. It was unhealthy, so unhealthy, caused a lot of problems. And we made this church rule. I remember us talking about it one time, where in the rule was, if anyone tells you anything negative about someone, then your job is to you have to tell them in 24 hours, you need to go talk to that person about that thing. And if you don't, we're both going together to talk about it. And it helped. It helped a lot. It got things rolling in the right direction.
Gossips are cowards.
They are. And because actually what ended up happening was like, I think it happened one time where someone actually did it. They just stopped talking about people. That's what it was. Like, if the people I'm going to tell this to are going to make me go confront the person I'm talking about, I'm just not going to do it.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because look, you mess up people's perception of other people when you talk about them negatively.
Oh yeah,
and so
you take away the benefit of the doubt that you would give.
So
someone.
like if I just made up, I don't know anybody named Tim necessarily in our church. I don't think there's a Tim in there.
Yeah,
man, sometimes Tim is kind of just a jerk.
Yeah,
that goes in your brain.
Yeah.
Right. And
You're
if you see
primed,
something,
expecting it.
it's like, oh, I got to watch out for Tim. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
Even if he's like not, or I saw him do it one time and it was just a bad day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People's minds get, you plant little seeds of contagion in their brain. It's like the rumor weed back from Veggie Tales. Remember the rumor weed?
I've never watched VeggieTales ever in my life.
Well, I thought you were a Christian.
I didn't grow up as a Christian.
Oh,
I wasn't
man.
a Christian kid.
You should watch some of them. Just for funsies.
Evie literally asked us a day ago. She's like, "Do we have VeggieTales? I want to watch VeggieTales." I'm like, I don't even know where to start with VeggieTales.
You gotta get your CD.
I gotta find DVDs or something. Yeah. And I think they watched some of it at school or something. And and I had no idea where to start.
Dude, it was so fun. We loved VeggieTales, but it was kind of like one of the first little like CGI kind of cartoony stuff. It was so fun.
Okay, we'll have to try it out. So that's Bearing False Witness,
and they made some great songs.
Did they?
Yeah.
I remember something about a whale. Folks talking about a whale, Jonah and the whale.
Yeah, Jonah and the big fish. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, if you like to talk to tomatoes. It's got all these fun little jingles they did.
All right. So do you have anything else to say about giving false testimony against your neighbor?
Don't do it.
Don't do that neither.
Just don't talk about people.
Don't talk about
unless
people,
it's
man.
positive. Like you got nice stuff to say.
That's one of the best things to do, man, is to talk nice about people.
Talk nice about people.
Encourage folks, man. I love it. I love it. People are incredible. I love it.
One time when I was young and a jerk, and the person who did this, I did this too, remembers it to this day. And there were these two people talking, and they were talking about somebody else, and they were saying stuff that was bad. And I was thinking about the Bible. I was very blunt. And they asked me what I think. They said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what I think. That person ain't talking about y'all like you're talking about them right now." That's what I said.
That's good, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, no matter how bad they are, they're not talking about you like you're talking about them right now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I think.
That's so funny.
And they were like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Someone told me once.
For all their faults.
I was annoyed. Like, you do church work for a while. Someone's going to talk bad about you. And
oh, my goodness,
and,
man.
it's going to happen.
I just have a litany of things people said about me that gets back to me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
this
what?
happened to me once. And I was talking about it. I was like with a mentor of mine and just annoyed by it and like trying to just get over it and move on. And he was like, just remember that you're way worse than their worst opinion about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that's oddly helpful. Like,
yeah, it's like, no matter how small your church is, it should be smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
you're bad.
They, whatever bad thing they think about you, they don't know the half of it, man.
It's actually worse.
Yeah, it's worse.
It's
like,
actually worse.
Yeah, they're probably right about something.
But what's aggravating is they're wrong. They're talking about the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's
like the thing they said is untrue.
Yeah,
like at least if you're gonna
if
you're gonna accuse me, let's get it right.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like I do not think that all babies go to hell.
Yeah,
like what are you saying?
I'm a prideful snot.
I'm a prideful snot. That's my issue. I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
I don't care about you at all. I have no love in my heart.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
My problem.
But I don't think all babies go to hell when they die.
Yeah.
Get my sins right. They're much worse than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
I have to work hard to care about people. And I'm a people person.
Yeah.
How bad is it out there?
Yeah, it's bad.
It's so bad.
It ain't that great here, man.
Dude, it's bad. This is a dark world.
Yeah, it is.
Like there's a great line in Princess Bride. It's great theology. And she's talking about how cruel he is or whatever. And he said, life is pain, Highness. Yeah. Anybody who tells you different is trying to sell you something.
I know. I've used that in a sermon.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. It's true.
It is so true.
Life is pain.
Life is pain. And it's real. And
you don't know that till you're like 28.
Yeah.
You start figuring it out.
Yeah. Things, you get enough to lose.
Yeah.
And something gets taken from you.
The naivete gets pulled away. Something happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to help you remember that this world isn't all there is, man.
Thank God.
Yep. I know it, right?
I think about people who live spirals of sin. This is a horrible way. This is one of my faults. And I like drugs or just watch crystal meth just eat somebody's teeth and brains and face. You know, they
give
start picking
themselves to
themselves,
anything,
giving themselves over to it.
Yeah.
And I think their life is absolute misery. They're living in a trailer, just got a hole in the floor. They're freezing to death because they can't keep the power on. And when they die in the next few years, they only have hell to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole
That's
deal.
how bad it is.
It's like anyone that doesn't have Christ, man, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Like this is their heaven. This is the best. This is the closest to heaven they'll ever be.
Ooh.
Yep. But if you're in Christ,
This is
the closest to hell you'll ever be.
Dude, we're just soldiering on in the trenches out here.
That's right.
Taking fire from the enemy. The devil trying to kill us. Like, if God let him, the devil would kill us today.
Oh, yeah.
In a half a
I think
heartbeat.
he's tried.
The only reason, the only reason we are still alive.
Wrestling.
Do you know that one?
No,
Oh,
I
man,
like
that's
that.
so funny.
What's that from?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
So the only reason we're not dead is because God forbids it.
Yeah.
But one day he won't. Yeah. So there was a review of there was this little you could make independent little games and you could put them on the internet on this thing called Congregate, and some of them were pretty cool and they were trying to get picked up for bigger folks to make them developers and stuff. And you could leave a review of the game. And this guy leaves.
I know
this
this.
guy
Yeah.
leaves a review, and his name was like Axeman 13.
Yeah, I know this.
And he misspelled reason, and
Yeah.
it's like the only reason I gave it a won because it's like WON.
yeah.
Was that the voices were pretty good. Dude, I laugh so much.
I've seen
when
that,
I
yeah.
need help,
Yeah.
I watch that voice actor read Axeman 13's review.
I love that guy. He
He misspelled because my favorite part. He goes, "Is it supposed to be stick dudes?" And then he says something like "be a cool has."
be a cool ass.
He spelled because.
He reads all sorts of signs that are spelled wrong.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
funny, man.
I
He's
laugh
so funny.
and laugh. I laugh. The only wrestler.
Wrestling.
Oh man!
all right.
So now we got to talk about covetousness.
Yeah,
we're avoiding
don't
it.
give false testimony. Now we're at the last one, which is kind of a couple of them, but it's all the same. Do not covet, verse 17, do not covet your neighbor's house. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Yeah, the Bible says in King James, don't. I can't say.
Yeah, what's the... Yeah,
The donkey's not translated
Oh,
donkey.
yeah.
You're not supposed to covet your neighbor's ass.
yeah isn't that funny how that's like a bad word now?
Yeah. Well, people are calling you a donkey.
Yeah.
And often terms for animals turn into cuss words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
true.
So like you're being a donkey.
Yeah.
Or a jackass is a mule.
It's a mule. Yeah,
it's a mule.
Yeah.
So like, and they're stubborn, so
Yeah,
when somebody
yeah.
says you're that way,
Yeah.
or if you're being a donkey,
So don't covet. What does that mean? What does it mean to covet?
to desire the things which are not yours.
Yeah, that's a churchy word too, isn't it? We don't like most of the time we don't use the word covet in English. What's our word?
Covet, but jealous.
Jealousy.
Jealousy.
It's what we talk about.
Kind of, yeah.
Envy.
Envy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But jealousy isn't a verb.
No.
'Cause that's like in how words, language works.
Yeah.
And so you can't jealous someone, but you can covet them.
Covet. And Paul talks about covetousness like, the foundation of law is love God, love your neighbor. Kind of the foundation of law breaking starts with covetousness.
Yeah.
Like all the other 9
Yeah.
are linked directly to wanting something that is not yours.
Yeah.
And trying to make it happen. That's the root of sin.
Yeah.
So the last one is a banger. Like it's the one. Like you murder because you're jealous about something.
Yeah.
Or
Discontentment.
discontent.
And that goes back to what we talked about a little bit with stealing, that if everything is a gift from God, right? It's all a gift from God. Everything you have is a gift from God. Everything your neighbor has is a gift from God. It comes down to like when you're dissatisfied with your life, you're dissatisfied with God.
Yeah.
With what God's given you.
And it doesn't mean like I see Justin excelling. Let's say you're super good at the guitar, which you are. I mean, you're no Trevor.
I'm an intermediate player.
You're a troubadour, buddy.
I'm a
you're
troubadour.
Doing good.
That's
and I mean that in the nicest way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I see you playing the guitar and I think, man, I want to be that good. And so I work to try. I'm like,
Yeah, that's not
doesn't mean
coveting.
like that's not covetous.
Yeah.
Or like, ooh, I love
That's
his
aspiration.
house. Or like,
Yeah.
hey, I like what you built a farmhouse table. How'd you do that? I want to build me
Yeah.
a farmhouse
Yeah.
table. That's not covetous.
Yeah.
Covetous is like, I never get to have a farmhouse table. You know, it's like a wicked kind of
It's comparison.
And being mad maybe that somebody said, man, or if I'd been working hard on the guitar and you'd been working hard on the guitar and somebody said, man, Justin's really good. And you're like, why didn't they say I was real good?
Yeah.
That's like the kind of covetousness, jealousy thing that goes on.
And
to
here's
ruin
what's
your
funny
life.
is though, like, you're just getting real with how it works in your life and stuff. It very rarely comes out like that.
Yeah.
It's not that. Like, that's not how it comes out. It comes out as, I'm just angry.
Yeah.
I don't like that person. I just don't like them.
I just don't like
I just don't like them. I don't trust. There's something about them. Something about I just don't like them. And that's how it actually comes out. And you have to sometimes do a little soul searching to dig up that this is actually a jealousy in my heart. Like, why do I not like them so much? Well, it's actually because you wish that you were them.
I think
and you had what they had.
I think God has helped me a lot. But I mean,
It's true.
I think I have grown where when I see people do stuff that's great, it makes me happy.
That's good. Yeah.
Because like nothing is easy, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what it is. Like I don't care what you do. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And so when I see somebody excel in anything, I'm like, I have an admiration for it. What makes me
And
mad?
you could have an admiration for God seeing that too.
Yes,
that's
it's
a
like
big deal.
God did that.
Yeah.
Well, let's say God said Justin's going to be a good guitar player. Especially when I see somebody who's middle-aged or more, and they're still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so proud of that.
Yeah.
It's so nice because I've tried to do so many things in my life, and I know what it takes to be actually good.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love to see people do things that are amazing. Like if I hear somebody preach a great sermon, it does not make me covet at all.
No.
I'm like, oh man, that was so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's everything, man. Like from furniture building to seeing somebody that's real good at anything.
Yeah. I think it's worth if you
I can't even cut hair, dude.
yeah. If you have like unexplained disdain for someone,
Yeah.
I think one of the first places you need to go is to look for the root of it is jealousy.
You know what? The only thing that really turns me on people is if I detect snobbery.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it when people are snobby
Yeah.
because, like, I feel like they're judging people.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. I
Yeah.
cannot stand it, especially when they haven't earned it and when they haven't earned the critique of others.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man, I hate it.
Yeah. It's like
People doing the best they can, man.
yeah. Yeah.
Life is hard. They don't need you being a turd.
So don't covet your neighbor's stuff. Like, don't covet other people's things.
Yeah.
The root of that though is because God gave them those things.
He did.
Right. And he wanted them to have them. And he gave you things and that you're not appreciating
And
probably.
covetousness is the gateway to thievery, adultery. Because he says,
Adultery.
don't covet your neighbor's wife. Where do you think that winds up?
Yeah.
If you keep pursuing that kind of
yeah.
thing.
It winds up in adultery, man.
It winds up you steal his
Yep.
wife
Yep.
or try to.
It winds up in all of the sins that just came before.
Yes.
Like it goes even up to the issues of idolatry and idol, and
Yeah.
having other gods and things like that. Especially maybe more obvious for the ancient world, but also today too. The ancient world, they might look around and see Babylon successful. Oh, I want that. I want that. I'm going to covet their success. And they saw the root of their success in their gods.
Bro, what is worship even?
Yeah. We do the same thing though.
Yeah.
It's like, they're successful. I want that success. And that I haven't earned and stuff,
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to I'm going to strive for that. I'm going to make my life about whatever they got. And I'm going to keep up with the Joneses and I'm going to play the game. I'm going to go into $20,000 in credit card debt and so I'll have an idol too. I'm going to make them my idol.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's rooted in like worship, the
Yeah, it
thing
is.
that you covet. is the thing you're giving your accolade to.
It's what you love.
Your devotion.
James K.A. Smith, he's a guy who wrote a couple books. He's a really good author. He's like a philosopher. He's a Christian philosopher. And he wrote this book called Desiring the Kingdom. It's a good book to read. It's accessible. Everyone can read it and get through it. And he wrote another book. It's like a more popular version of it called You Are What You Love. And he said his whole point is that you become what you love and you worship what you love. And so much of like sin is wrapped up in misplaced love, misplaced desire.
Yeah.
And he comes back down to this idea of coveting. Yep.
Yeah. Misplaced love.
Yeah, he talks about one of his opening illustrations. Is really good. Is he starts describing a modern temple, and he does his masterful word plays and stuff. You don't know what he's doing until the end. He starts describing this thing, and it's like a whole, several paragraphs like this temple, and at the end you realize it's a modern like stadium. Like everyone's there wearing their regalia, bowing down, shouting, praise and stuff. And like get to the end, it's like this, modern like sports stadium and stuff. I was like, oh, that was clever. You did a good job of that.
Preachers love to pick on people's sports love.
In Alabama.
Oh my gosh.
In Alabama, they do it. Yeah,
it's like, well, I wish you'd cheer on Sunday like you do for Alabama on Friday or whatever. And I'm like,
in preachers' defense in Alabama, we've had some weird years. There's been some weird stuff. Like we've bought a house in Alabama a couple times.
Yeah.
And not this last time, but our first two times trying to buy a house in and around Trussville, Pinson area, there were several houses that we looked at. Dude, there inevitably on a day that you're going to look in houses, there's a room in that house that is painted
a shrine.
And it's painted a particular color. It's either crimson or orange and blue. And there's tables.
And how gaudy
and
is orange and blue? I mean, really,
dude.
Rotang.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm serious, dude. There's pictures. There's
don't turn around.
Autographs and stuff. I know there's one in here. But in an entire room in this house devoted to their family's idols.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird, dude. And they don't see it. They don't have eyes for it.
They just like their football.
And it's okay to like football and stuff.
Don't care.
But I think like sometimes like folks
But it's not that big.
It's
a deal.
not everyone. It's not a big deal. But like, and it's not usually. I don't see it with folks that are loving Christ and church goers and stuff. I see it, but out there in the wilderness of the world, there's absolutely that is an idol.
It
for
doesn't
people.
bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore. And if I walked in somebody's house and they collected bobbleheads. Like, that doesn't bother me. Or if they had a big Lego collection or they have manga everywhere.
But would it bother you if they had a big old Lego collection and they hated Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can love Jesus and have a big Lego collection. Right. You can love Jesus and have a big old shrine devoted for Michigan Wolverines or whatever.
You can enjoy it and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I just like to collect this stuff.
Yeah.
People collect things.
So here's the thing, though. It's like, every God will demand sacrifice, though.
Yeah.
And at some point they will. And so your massive Lego collection, and they never give. They're never generous because all their money goes into their
that's
Legos
a problem.
or something. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. They have.
But you don't know that by looking at their Lego collection.
I'm just saying, this is what happens. Like we got
to be careful not to hate fun.
No, I love fun, dude. I love fun. Middle class salary, but season passes to Tuscaloosa.
Ooh.
How are you affording that?
Man, look, sometimes
every God will sacrifice.
Demand
sacrifice.
Part of old age is knowing what everything costs, you know, like talents and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I pull up at like Burger King. I was in the drive the other day and this kid gets out of this F-150 crew cab, probably a 2023. He was maybe 20 years old. He had a Ranger bass boat behind it. It was like $100,000 worth of vehicle sitting there counting the boat.
Yeah.
And I thought, how?
Yeah.
How is this possible?
Every God demands a sacrifice.
So every time Amy talks about any of my stuff, like disc golf,
I could be this.
I'm like, hey, I could start fishing.
Yeah.
I could start golf.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a fine hobby. It's like those things are fine.
Yeah.
It's like you just got to have like the presence of mind to realize where something can turn into sin. Like a good thing can go bad.
It can go bad.
It can.
We can start doing stuff like
We can turn a good thing into a god.
we do it all the time.
Yeah.
Because what is actually bad?
Yeah.
There's not much actually bad stuff.
No, God made everything good.
He made everything good.
Yeah.
What we do is we take good stuff and we make it bad.
Yeah, that's right. That was my point about
Yeah.
those things. Like Alabama football's fun.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Super fun.
I love football.
I don't even love it.
I watch every NFL game I can.
Really?
I do. I love it. I watched.
Well, they're pagans.
Hey, shout out to Kyle Steffen. He came over last night. We watched the playoff game last night. It was super fun.
I didn't even know it was the playoffs. I don't love football.
He's like my only NFL friend in our church. No one else watches NFL.
Yeah, it's because it's stupid.
It's better
I
than
feel like
college.
you're probably an idolater.
Yeah, I have spent no
because
money
they play on
it.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Those guys, where are they going to church, huh? Every single one of those football
They
players.
don't go to no church.
They don't go to church.
They
man.
might do something in the morning. Games don't start till 12.
Oh, okay.
They might.
I bet they do.
A couple of them are pretty legit believers.
Yeah, they've excused.
So
their
they
sin.
might have something. They might do like a group or like a team church thing or
Yeah,
something.
well, they got a covenant together. They doing the Lord's Supper. They sing.
No, they're not
okay.
doing that
Well,
kind
there
of
we
stuff.
go. It ain't your church then.
Fine. You bunch of sinning NFL players. Get
Dadgummit.
right with the Lord.
Get right
Yeah.
with the Lord. No, I mean, there's a way we can talk. We could justify their sin somehow. I'm sure of it. We just keep playing ball, boys. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to make it through life alive to the Lord. I'm not coveting their good zillions.
The Lord has given you wonderful blessings, dear listener, and you
really
can
legit,
appreciate them.
My secret fear,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to heaven,
Yeah.
die, be judged, and God will be like, I was nicer to you than anybody who ever lived.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be true. Because sometimes I look around at the lives people have and the things that people suffer and the stuff that happens, and I think, man, God,
I'm a blessed man.
I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
I'm the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
My kids
think
love
that
me.
too.
My
Yeah.
wife sticks with me.
Yeah.
I'm not hungry. I have a floor in my house and a roof over my head.
Dude, we live in luxury.
I was talking to somebody about this.
We
We were
do.
in Culver's.
Yeah.
Dude, they make a
I
great
still haven't been to
hamburger.
Culver's. Yeah.
We're going after this.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in Culver's the other day, and we're talking about when I was in Tanzania. And I was telling him I'm super rich, right? And I said, look, man, I could buy everybody in this restaurant right now a Coca-Cola. And it wouldn't hurt me at all.
Yeah.
I could do that. I'd be like, everybody that gets Coca-Cola. And I said, and we live in such a rich culture
Yeah.
that if I did that, they would all look at me like I was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you to buy me a Coke.
Because they can all do it.
But, dude, there are places in this world that if I bought everybody in the room a Coca-Cola, I could be mayor by the next week. They would be like, this guy bought us all Coca-Colas, and we love him with all of our heart. My goodness, what
right.
generosity.
We're about to wrap this up because your boy Justin has got to go to the bathroom. I got to pee so bad.
Yeah, man.
You poured all this coffee. I got to go. Everyone, thank y'all so much for listening to the podcast today. Don't do none of these sins.
Don't covet. And it's
And if you
okay
do,
to watch your
God will
sports
forgive
game.
you.
And I was just joking about the NFL because Tim Tebow sanctified it.
You're going to make me pee. I got to stop
Okay,
laughing.
bye. I love you.
Love you guys. Thank you.